Welcome back everybody, my name's Sam Clark and today I'm going to share with you some tips, tricks and methods on how to draw better faces. We're going to start with the LOOMIS method and I'm going to draw it on my iPad today just so I can do it a bit quicker and use a few little tricks instead of drawing it with pencil, which will take a little bit longer. But if that's all you have, pencil and paper, go for it. If you're using Procreate, start by selecting a new layer. Then I like to start with a lighter color, and today I'm using the technical pen to start with this one. In the past few videos I've used a pastel brush at the beginning, but today I'm going to use the technical pen so it's a bit clearer for you guys out there. If you're using pencils, it's best to start with a HB or a B lead pencil. If you've got colored pencils, grab a lighter color to begin. We're going to start with a circle. This is going to represent the cranium. Here's the first trick on Procreate. Draw a rough circle, then hold the pen on the screen. It will automatically correct itself. Then if you tap the screen with your finger, it'll turn into a perfect circle. Easy, right? If you can't draw a perfect circle and you're drawing on paper, it's okay if it's close enough, or you can use a drawing compass. Next, we're going to draw an oval on the right side of the circle, about 2/3 the height of the circle. This will represent the side of the head. Cut off the back side of the circle and do the same with the left side of the circle. So essentially you will have a sphere with both sides cut off. Here I'm drawing the center line for the face. Then draw a horizontal line across the middle of the circle and continue that line across the oval too. Then draw a vertical line through the middle of the oval. Next, we will draw in another horizontal line, this time starting from the top of the oval, and another one starting from the bottom of the oval. These three lines represent the hairline, brow line, and nose line. Using that same measurement from the nose to the brow, let's do another horizontal line underneath the circle. This will represent the chin line, which will create the bottom of the face, dividing it into 3 equal parts. Now start a line from just under the curve of the circle on the left side and very slightly curve that line down to meet up with the chin line. Next, let's extend that vertical line in the oval to just below the circle. Then using a slightly curved line to join up with the chin. Now, there's close to 7.8 billion people on this planet, and the only ones with similar faces are identical twins or triplets, etc. Besides those people, no face shape is the same. So the thing with this method is that it's a very rough guideline. You have to learn to adapt this technique when copying references or creatively drawing faces. I'm drawing this 3/4 face from imagination today, just so you get an idea of the process involved. So learning how to bend the rules is crucial. We're going to add in the cheekbone line. So starting from the intersecting lines in the oval, draw a curved line down to meet up with the chin line. Congratulations, you've created the base structure of a head. Next, let's get into the facial features. This is how I do it. It might be different to others, but here we go. We are going to divide the gap between the nose and the brow line into thirds. On the top marker, draw a horizontal line across. This will represent the lower part of the eye. Then let's divide the gap between the chin and nose into two and draw another horizontal line. This will mark the bottom of the lower lip. I'm just going to add on the neck for reference. Now I'm selecting another layer on Procreate and lightening the opacity on the first layer. If you're using pencil and paper, now is a good time to grab a darker colored pencil or a darker shade lead or graphite pencil. Adding in the brow line, it's sort of a stretched out upside down W, extending onto the oval on the right side, and the left side will foreshorten it a little bit. Next, let's do the nose. Noses are hard, so this may take a couple of attempts until you get it right. Just remember, no nose is the same, so draw it however you'd like. This is just how I like to draw noses. Start by drawing a rough wedge shape, starting just under the brow line and finishing on the horizontal nose line. I might do another video just on noses in the future. Sometimes I give it squarish angles to show the shadows under and around it. Then add the nostrils. They're like rectangular prisms with a few extra angles protruding from the sphere. I hope this is making sense. Underneath the nose, I've drawn the philtrum. Anyone heard that term before? It's the area of skin between the nose and upper lip. Yeah, I had to Google it too. Moving on, I like to add the side of the face just under the brow line where the face dips inward towards the eye as a marker for where I'll draw the eye. Next, start with an almond shape for the eyes. Sometimes I make my eyes a little more rectangular. Oh, and the eyebrows. Throw those suckers in too. The eyebrows sit on that brow line. Every eyebrow is different, some bushy and thick, some pencil thin and curvy. Changing the shape of an eyebrow will completely change the expression on someone's face. For the purpose of this exercise, I'm just drawing some very average eyebrows. If you were looking at a face straight on and drew a vertical line upwards from the outside of the nostril, that would be the marker for where the tear duct starts. So because this is a 3/4 angle face, we'll have to use our imagination of where the tear duct will be on the left side. For the right side, it's a lot easier. Sometimes I enlarge the eyes for my drawings, but the best way to draw eyes if you're sort of new to this is by using a face reference and referring back to the image to check the size. Everyone's eyes are a different shape and size. Down to the mouth. Now in between the philtrum and the horizontal line we drew to mark the bottom of the lip, we're going to divide that into two. That will be the marker for where the lips join in the middle. Once again, this is just a rough marker, and remember, everybody has different sized lips. So you might need to adjust the measurements to suit the reference you're copying or the face you're creating. Just like the eye, we are going to foreshorten the left side of the lips. When it comes to how far the lips reach across the face, say if the face was front on and we drew a vertical line down from the center of the eye, the edge of the lip would roughly end up meeting that line. It's an average measurement. Every set of lips on this planet are different, and generally men have a thinner top lip than women. Underneath, around the chin area, I like to mark out the different planes and shapes where the shadows fall. Next, the eyes. Take your time positioning the iris and pupil. Make sure you have a reference image to look at if you're not too confident with the sizing and where they will sit. If you screw this part up, the whole face will look wrong. The eyes draw the viewer in first, so take your time making sure they are both looking in the same direction. Now let's roughly mark in the ear. It sits right behind that vertical line in the oval, in between the brow line and the nose line. Of course, all these measurements would change if the face was to move up or down, but for the purpose of this lesson, let's just keep the ear in that section. Once again, it would be best to use reference when drawing an ear. They are tricky. There's a lot of different planes, shapes, dips and hollows. I've drawn 1,000 ears in my time, so I'm roughly throwing this together. Next, I'm going to mark in some shadows in the ear and under the chin on the neck. Okay, so now we've mapped in the basic head structure and loosely put the features in. You might have noticed how rough it looks. This is a totally normal and necessary part of the design process, and it's the reason most artists, including myself, don't like people watching us draw. I hate how my initial sketches look rough and unorganized, but we all have to go through this phase to progress to the later stages. If you're using Procreate, select another layer, and I'm going to use the peppermint brush in the sketching category. Sometimes I use the technical pencil too. I'm also going to select a darker color for this part. If you're using pencils, I would suggest picking a darker color pencil or a darker shade of lead or graphite pencil. It's time to refine everything we've drawn. I'm going to start with the side of the face, then the nose line, nostrils, and the angles I like to keep visible on the nose. Sometimes I continue the nose line above the brow to show the front frown line. This part is totally up to you if you want to include it in the sketch. It does alter the expression into that of a bit more serious or confused nature. Mark in the brows. Sometimes I correct part from the previous layer and add little details in this new layer. So feel free to get creative with this. Now to fine tune the eyes, take your time. Pause the video and perfect those peepers. This ain't a race, kids. Next, the eyelids. I forgot to mention them before, but these are very important. Leave these out and the eyes won't look right. The eyes are sunken into the eye socket, which creates lots of different planes and angles when drawing them. So if this is all new to you, I would recommend using photo reference to really study the eyes and its surrounds in detail. The eye protrudes out of that socket, creating a shadow area underneath the eye, which I'm marking in now. Okay, let's move on down to the mouth and fine tune those lines from the previous layer. I find doing the middle line thicker than the upper lip lines and the lower lip makes the lips look slightly more effective. Sometimes doing that top line too thick or dark can make it stand out too much and not look right. For the lower lip, the underside has a bit of a shadow, so I like to mark that in on my drawings. Underneath the lower lip, just before the chin, is another shadow area as well as the underside of the chin. Now the ear. Grab some photo reference if you're not too familiar with the curves, grooves and shadows in the ear. I'm just simplifying the ear structure and adding some more shading. Then add the shadows under the chin, on the neck, and roughly I'm going to mark in the shadows on the side plane of the head, and we are done. That's how I start roughly creating the faces I draw that are on a 3/4 angle. A lot of the time I'll use photo reference from Google or Pinterest to help me with the expressions and to find new faces that suit the design and ideas I have in my head. Just remember, every face is different, so the trick is to adapt this method to any face you're creating. Alright, there you have it. How did everyone go with that? Who got hung up at the circle? I know the circle is usually the hardest part, and that's right at the beginning. So in the future, I'm going to do a few more videos. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.